Okay. I am so excited to get started on this event today, particularly because of the timing of this beautiful event. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We are joined today by Dreamers and Doers member Lara Grant, a certified meditation and yoga teacher with extensive experience in mental and emotional well-being coaching to explore the transformative power of daily self-compassion. We'll
Mhm.
learn what self-compassion is, why it matters, and how to cultivate it through meditation and journaling practices that can positively impact how you view and treat yourself. Lara is a certified meditation and yoga teacher, as well as a mental and emotional well-being coach. She offers meditation and journaling programs on stress relief, emotional healing, and cultivating self-love and compassion. She helps individuals overcome emotional blocks and live more fulfilling lives. She's deeply committed to supporting others on their journey to self-love and healing. We are so excited to learn from you today. We also know how valuable your time is, and we're just really grateful to you for investing in Dreamers and Doers in this way, particularly during this time at the start of the holiday season. So thank you for that. And with that, I will very excitedly hand it over to you.
Yay, thank you so much, Nicole. I am super excited to be here. Again, my name is Laura, and this is one of my favorite topics. So I started getting into like meditation and mindfulness and things like this over 10 years now, when it pretty immediately started to impact my life in a really positive way. But it wasn't until nearly 6 years ago now when I had a pretty devastating breakup that um, led me down a really deep self love and self compassion journey. And it really showed me that I was kind of using this relationship and this person to give me love instead of really loving myself. And so it ended up being one of the most transformative and life changing experiences. And it's why I then wanted to make this my life's work so that I could share these tools that have had such a profound impact on my life with as many people as I can. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, beautiful. So yeah, so we're going to talk about self-compassion, what it is, the benefits of it, and then how to actually cultivate that in your life. And so because I feel like real magic is getting to experience it, we'll do a few practices together so you can actually feel what that looks like. But before we even jump in, I want to just do a quick little grounding practice to help us kind of land here together. So I want to invite you to just get situated, get comfy, and then once you're there, you can go ahead and close your eyes or gaze softly down if that feels better. And just start to take slower, deeper breaths down into the belly, letting yourself arrive here. And you've taken the time out of your day to be here, so really give yourself the gift of being present. Go ahead and take your awareness to your feet and see if you can tune into that connection between your feet and whatever's beneath them. And almost like that connection is drawing your feet down into the ground, moving your awareness from maybe your mind deeper down to the body, letting that connection just help you feel more grounded in this moment. And then moving your awareness up the legs to your seat, feeling that connection between your seat and whatever is beneath you. And see if you can relax into your seat a little bit deeper. Almost like you're allowing it to hold you up instead of needing to hold yourself up. And just letting that connection be a supportive energy for you. And then taking your awareness up to your heart space, that area in the center of your chest. I want to invite you to bring a hand to your heart and see if you can feel your heartbeat beneath your palm. feeling that connection between your palm and your chest. Noticing that you don't have to do anything for your heart to beat. It does it all on its own. And so let this be a safe and loving place you can return to anytime you want it. And go ahead and take a few more deep breaths, maybe into the heart space. Just noticing how you feel mentally, physically, emotionally. Knowing there's no right or wrong answer, just bringing some awareness. Take one more deep breath in. Maybe let it out with a sigh. And you can go ahead and open your eyes gently whenever you're ready. Beautiful. All right, my friends. So, what is self compassion? So, maybe some of you have heard of Dr. Kristen Neff. She's kind of like the leading researcher and authority on self compassion. And she's done a lot of research into what self compassion is. And she's kind of clarified that there's three components to it. And the first is mindfulness, the second is common humanity, and the third is self kindness. And so we're going to go a little deeper into what that means. So, mindfulness versus like exaggeration. So, in mindfulness, you're observing thoughts and feelings as they are without denying or exaggeration. So, you're not maybe repressing it or not wanting to look at, oh, I feel guilty or I feel sad or I feel disappointed. Versus exaggeration might be like, I am guilty or I'm a failure or this over identifying with an emotion that you're feeling. Is that maybe common adage like I feel sad versus I am sad? And so mindfulness is a key component to really being able to offer yourself self-compassion. It's one of the kind of first steps, having that awareness. The second is common humanity versus isolation. So often when something comes up where we feel disappointed, guilty, ashamed, we think that we're the only ones that are experiencing this or have ever experienced it, and that's why I feel like things like Dreamers and Doers can be so powerful because we're getting to connect with people. They're like, no, I'm going through that too. But often in that moment, it's hard to remember some of these things. And so the common humanity bit is kind of telling yourself in those moments where this comes up, this is part of life. Everyone has these emotions. It's kind of the human experience that we're going to have these highs and lows, and you're not alone in it. And then kind of the final step, that self-kindness versus self-judgment, is being gentle and understanding with ourselves instead of critical or angry. I'm sure most of us have had that moment when maybe we send something we by mistake to someone, or we make some kind of error at work or disappoint someone, and we're really hard on ourselves. Like, how could I do this? I'm such an idiot, or I'm such a failure. This like really critical voice we can hear. And so instead of hearing that voice, it's asking ourselves, like, what do I need right now? What do I need to hear that is kind? And you can like put a hand on your heart, connecting to yourself. Just the act of putting a hand on your heart, maybe you even felt this when we first did this, is a really supportive gesture to our body. It kind of lets us know we're safe, we're here, and we can ask ourselves, what do I need to tell myself right now? What do I need to do for myself right now? If I am embodying my most loving, compassionate self, what would I do? And it's kind of like being that unconditionally loving parent when the child's having a tantrum. And maybe you didn't get to experience that as a child, but maybe you can imagine still what would that embodiment be like. And there are, I mean, so much research has been done on the effects of offering ourselves self-compassion. So this is just a small list, but people that practice self-compassion tend to report greater happiness and life satisfaction. They tend to have more supportive relationships, and that makes sense with you're able to offer yourself compassion. You're often able to give that compassion to others, and you're able to receive it from others as well. There's a lot more support and compassion built into your relationships. You tend to have better emotional regulation and physical health because, as we all know, stress and anxiety and those heavy emotions, if they're not dealt with, have a really profound effect on our mental and emotional health. So yeah, people with that do practice self-compassion report less anxiety and depression. They tend to have more resilience for stressful life events. And they're able to draw healthy boundaries and say no. And so I think there's, this misconception that self-compassion will decrease your standards, but it's actually been shown to enhance motivation and well-being. You're like more willing to go for things because you aren't as scared to mess up. It's not so tied to your self-worth. People that really practice self-compassion tend to have a more stable and unconditional sense of self-worth. And so if there was a pill where you got all these things, of course, we would all be taking it. It's unfortunately not that easy, but there are things that we can do to enhance all of these aspects in our life. And so how this might actually play out in your life is if you do make a mistake at work, or maybe you disappoint a friend, you're not going to beat yourself up about it for an hour or even days. I mean, has anyone had something where you think about literally months or years later, something you did, and you're like, I can't believe I did that. Oh my gosh. And through self-compassion practices, you can actually release that. And often, especially for Dreamers and Doers members, I think this one's really important is you experience failures as a lesson versus defeat. If you are, especially a business owner or just playing a big game in life, like you're gonna experience some failure. That's part of life. But you don't identify with the failure as I'm a failure. It's more like, okay, this didn't work. What am I learning? How can I get stronger from this? And just in general, you're able to kind of move through feelings of rejection, inadequacy, and overwhelm a lot easier. You're not identifying with them. You're able to acknowledge them, so not suppress them or repress them in any way, but you're also not indulging in them and keeping them around after something happens that brings up emotions like that. So how do you cultivate self-compassion? The analogy I like to use is you wouldn't expect to run a marathon if you had never practiced running before. And so how can you expect yourself to practice self-compassion when something really challenging happens if you haven't been practicing that in your life? And so I really believe it's important to create practices in our life where we're using that self-compassion muscle, using that self-love muscle. And so it doesn't need to be, a intense hour-long therapy session every day. It could be these more gentle 30-minute practices that aren't even just specific to self-compassion. They also are mindfulness, self-care, self-love practices that are in general supporting your mental and emotional well-being. And so we're going to go through a few together right now. So the first is positive affirmations. And I think these sometimes get a bad rap because you've probably seen a bunch of these on social media before, and you're like, okay, saying that doesn't actually change anything. And that's true. If you just say it, probably not going to get a whole lot out of it. But there is some tricks to doing it to actually make it a powerful practice. So The first is saying it out loud. There's something really powerful about using your voice to say an affirmation. And you then get to hear your voice say it. So you're using a couple, senses and making the experience a lot richer. And then I highly recommend doing it in a mirror, looking into your own eyes. If you've ever done this, you know that it can be very uncomfortable and vulnerable to do that. And that's why it's a really good practice for you, because that means it's touching a deeper part in you. You're looking in your own eyes, you're hearing your voice, you're again just creating a more full, rich experience in this. And then a pretty key part is embodying the energy of whatever affirmation you're saying. So even if you look into your eyes and say, "You're doing great, I'm proud of you," but like say it like that, it's not coming from your heart, you're just kind of speaking it from the mind, right? And so even if a part of you doesn't fully believe it in the moment, how can you act as if, okay, if I fully believed this affirmation, what would that feel like? How can I embody that before I say it to myself? And so one story I like to share is that I had this client who was saying she was doing all the affirmations, telling herself, like, "You're doing great. I'm so proud of you." And I could hear that it was just coming from her mind. And so I said, "Okay, let's slow down. I want you to drop into your heart and say, 'You're doing great. I'm really proud of you.'" And she started to tear up and say, like, "That's really hard," because it was trying to come from a much deeper place, which is where the actual, juice of it is. And so you need to be going, into that deeper part of yourself if you're going to extract any benefit from saying a positive affirmation. And there is something to the fake it till you make it. So even if you don't fully believe it, like, can you just pretend? What would it be like if I did believe it for the next 10 seconds? What would that feel like? And so I suggest getting a post-it note, finding an affirmation for you and putting it on your mirror. And every time you see it in the bathroom, doing this practice. And as a couple examples, here are maybe a few that you could use. I'm allowed to make mistakes. I am enough exactly as I am. I am worthy of love and kindness. I think there's also a misconception that if we believe we're already good enough, we won't grow or get better. But we'll still want to grow and evolve. It's just that it's going to be coming from a place of already feeling worthy versus not being good enough and needing to prove something. Can you feel the difference in that? So I want to invite you to take a minute or so to just jot down 3 affirmations that you want to play around with. And I suggest finding ones where a part of you doesn't fully believe it, because that's where you're going to get the most from it. And I would love to hear any in the chat once you have some. What are 3 affirmations that could help support you in cultivating self-compassion? I am safe. That's beautiful. I love that one. I am loved. Yeah. I am enough. Yeah, they can be so simple. Those are so powerful. Thank you. I'm gonna say guessing Carrie. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. And maybe you think it's corny, but I promise putting it on a post-it note and having it be a daily reminder can be actually a really beautiful practice. It's corny, but it works. So true. Yeah, I'm allowed to make mistakes. Yes. Brianna. Such a good one. And as you play around with these, you might notice where you have a belief about something, which can be helpful. I am worthy of familial love. Beautiful. Andrea or Andrea. Morgan? I've been working on I don't have to second guess my intuition. Beautiful. I love all these. Thank you so much for sharing. You're inspiring, I'm sure, all of us. So yeah, play around with that and see how it goes. Okay, so and that's also just a super simple, easy practice that you could do anytime you go to the bathroom or anytime you brush your teeth, just making it an easy part of your day. And then my favorite, meditation. So I'm sure at this point you'll have heard many of the benefits of meditation. I think one of the most profound ones is that it's really great at increasing your self-awareness. And the first step to any change is awareness of what's going on. And so I have found meditation to be like the practice for really enhancing that self-awareness. And also, part of the self-compassion steps is to have that mindfulness, and it really does encourage like non-judgmental observation. You're viewing thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations without any judgment. It's all okay. And so it helps you to not repress or overindulge in those feelings that often come up that prevent us from offering ourselves self-compassion. And then it literally creates new neural pathways in our brain. Pretty amazing that meditation can literally change your brain. And so one way I've heard it described that I think really works is that maybe when we're critical of ourselves for so long, it's like water going in the same path or a stream running down the same path. It's well worn, it's deeper. And so to then offer self-compassion to ourselves as a new path, it's going to take a lot more effort to move the water into this other direction. But the more times you do that and practice and practice and practice going down this path, that starts to become the most well-worn path, and that becomes your default setting. So it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. In fact, it won't happen overnight, just warning you. But the more that you practice it, it will become the new default. It just takes some practice. And it's pretty amazing that our brains can do that. And so I want to guide us through a meditation right now. So I'm going to share some music. Go ahead and get yourself set up. Okay, beautiful. So go ahead. Find any comfortable position for you. So you can be seated upright. If it does feel more loving and supportive to you to lie down today, then please do that. And once you're there, go ahead and allow your eyes to gently close or gaze softly down. And let's take 3 deep inhales and slow exhales together. So emptying any air out. big, slow breath in, filling the belly with air, and slowly exhale it out. Again, long, deep inhale, imagining oxygen moving into every inch and cell of the body. And let it out, maybe with a sigh. Last one, deep breath in. And let it out. Beautiful. And let your breath flow back into its natural rhythm. Go ahead and take your awareness to the top of your head. Just start to move your attention down, releasing any tension you may be holding in the body. So starting at the top of the head and moving down, softening the forehead, allowing the mind to quiet behind it. The eyes rest. The nose and cheeks. Maybe feeling the jaw unclench or relax as you move down the neck and throat, into the shoulders. Maybe feeling the shoulders drop down and back as they release something they've been carrying. Continue making your way down the body, allowing any tension to just melt away, all the way down to the fingertips and toes. Just feeling the entire body relaxed. Now begin to imagine some person or pet that you love very deeply and easily. Picturing them as clearly as you can. Feeling the love that you have for them. As you hold them in mind, see if you can feel what love feels like in your body. Maybe taking your attention to your heart space. Even if you can't feel it, imagine that love is there, and it's this warm ball of white light. Emanating from your heart space. And either visualize or just hold the intention that every inhale makes that ball of loving energy get bigger. And every exhale sends that love out to the rest of your body. Keep breathing and letting that white, loving light energy spread until it has filled your entire body. Beautiful. Now visualize yourself standing in front of a mirror, looking into your own eyes. What expression do you have on your face? What emotion do you seem to be feeling? There's no right answer. We're just noticing whatever is here. Notice what thoughts arise as you look at yourself. Now looking into your own eyes in this mirror, say all the positive things you want to hear from yourself right now. Speaking to yourself with the most love and compassion you can. I invite you to place one hand on your heart and then speaking to yourself, repeat the following phrases after me, either out loud or in your head. I love you no matter what. I am so grateful for you. I am so proud of you. I accept you exactly as you are. I am always here for you. You are enough. You are whole. You are worthy of happiness. I love you always. Allow these words and love to sink deeply into your mind, body, and spirit. Feeling the love and support you have for yourself at any given moment. invite you now to thank yourself for taking the time to show yourself love and compassion in this way. Go ahead and take a long, deep breath in. And slowly exhale. Start to gently return to the present moment. Maybe wiggling the fingers and toes. Maybe taking the arms overhead or stretching in any other way that feels good. And then whenever you feel ready, and slowly and gently open your eyes. All right, beautiful friends. If you're available to come back on camera, please do. And so we are going to move into some journaling. So if you have a journal, go ahead and grab that. Thank you. I'm so glad. And again, that was just a really short practice. Just taking that time for yourself. I want to just invite you to reflect on what that was like for yourself. All righty, let me go ahead and share my screen again. Okay, beautiful. And so journaling, this is another one of my favorite practices, because with both meditation and journaling, you can do it pretty much anywhere. It's free. And so with journaling, and has a few benefits, or I mean, many benefits really, but one thing I love about it is it's a way to kind of do a mental dump and release. Often, like when we're having these kind of loops of thoughts, feeling upset about something, it's really helpful to just do a mental dump onto a piece of paper, like a cathartic way to just release some of it. And especially, like, I do recommend using a pen, because there's something much more powerful about using your own hand to write it. And then also it's a way to really connect to ourselves and be honest with how we're feeling, just checking in with ourselves. And it can intentionally be used to celebrate ourselves or to show gratitude for ourselves. One practice I've been doing this year is every Friday, just doing a little celebrations for myself. And it's not usually about external things. It's more so about like how I showed up for myself or how I showed up for the week, not dependent on like, did I get a new client or have X amount of something? It's like, oh, I showed up to this workshop, or I took myself on a walk when I was feeling really upset. I said no to this thing that didn't really feel good, and I'm proud of myself for that. And so it's a way to just acknowledge yourself, because I would say, as a blanket statement, we don't do that enough. And so it's helpful to have just like a set time in your week that you're going to do that for yourself. So we are going to do some journaling together right now. And so the first one is to write 3 things you're grateful for about yourself. And I want to invite you to be very detailed. As they said in grade school, use complete sentences. So say, I am grateful for myself because X. And I would love a need to be shared in the chat. And I can't share music and do this at my screen at the same time. So we're going to just do this in beautiful silence, which is great. Give another 30 seconds or so just to keep us on time, but you can, of course, go back and do 10 things you're grateful for later. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to our next one. You can keep going or return to this. So write 3 things you're proud of yourself for. And again, use complete sentences. I'm proud of myself for, instead of just writing a list or something, a lot more powerful when you say the words, I'm proud of myself. And I know it can be well, scary and vulnerable to maybe share that, but I would love anyone to share that in the chat because it can also be really powerful to acknowledge yourself publicly. And these can be seemingly small or big things too. Proud of yourself for taking an hour out of your day to do some self-compassion. Proud of yourself for making your bed this morning. Doesn't need to be that big. And yeah, if you want to test what it's like to share it publicly, I want to invite you to do so in the chat. Give just 10 more seconds here. I'm proud of myself for working on my manuscripts. Amazing. Celebrating you. Thank you. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Morgan. Brianna, I'm proud of myself for breastfeeding my son for 10 months as of Sunday. Wow, congrats. Celebrating you. Especially I know that he's a wiggly 10-month-old at this point. Amazing. Thank you for sharing, both of you. All right, in the interest of time, we'll move on, but please feel free to keep sharing those in the chat. Oh, good. Okay, I'm proud of myself for admitting my fears even as they happen. Beautiful. I love that. Celebrating you in that it is very courageous to do so. Beautiful, friends. Thank you. Alrighty, and then our last prompt is, what's one thing you can forgive yourself for? Maybe it's from this month. Maybe it's something from years ago that tends to pop up for you. What's one thing you can forgive yourself? Feel free to write more if you want. And so, in the interest of time, we'll not be able to do this together, but I want to invite you to go through that 3-step self compassion process sometime today or in the next 24 hours. So, again, that mindfulness, acknowledging what you're feeling, going to the common humanity. Everyone feels this way. Everyone has felt this way. I'm not alone in it. And then what can you do for yourself to offer yourself self compassion? So, that is your homework. And I would love to hear after if you want to reach out to how that was for you. And so these are just a few practices that you can do to cultivate self compassion in your life. Pick which ones resonate with you, or there's so many ways to make this work for you and your unique thing. Um, and one thing for you could be that you do some creative art practice just for fun, not needing to be good at it. Or maybe it's finding a fun dance or movement class as a way to love your body and express yourself. Like find something that works for you and feels good. Um, and then think about where you can do it in your day. Maybe it's 15-minute meditation in the morning, 15 minutes of journaling at night. Oh, thank you, Marta. So sweet. Um, and just find a way that you can add this to your day in a way that it's going to be easy for you to show up for yourself and do it. Like, let it be simple, let it be easy. Really think about what that looks like. It doesn't need to be an hour long something in the day. And what I will say is just to set yourself up for success. And so have your intention and why. Maybe it's that you just know you feel better when you are more loving to yourself. And so you want to make that a priority. Maybe you want to be an example for kids or people in your life. I say add it to your calendar. I have an hour blocked off in my mornings, and I call it morning love. And it's where I do my self care practices. And it makes it a lot easier for me to follow through on it when I have it blocked out in my day. And I get that little notification on my phone that says morning love. And it's like, yeah, okay, we're doing this for an hour or however much time I want. You could find an accountability buddy. You could even by yourself or with someone else do a like self-compassion challenge. And maybe you want to try for like a certain amount of time, committing to a time period, like maybe 2 weeks, and just noting each day what it was like. What did you notice? What results are you or insights are you gaining from this experience? And if some of this feels like silly or uncomfortable in any way, I just want to invite you to be kind of open and curious and see what happens. And give yourself a lot of grace in this process if you notice that you're frustrated in some of the ways you respond to things. That's part of this human experience. We all do it. And being critical of our criticism just adds more criticism. So the remedy is compassion and love always. And one last thing is that if you're struggling to still offer yourself self-compassion with something, Brene Brown talks a lot about shame, and shame loves secrecy. So if you have someone in your life that is safe and a loving person you can take it to, just sharing what you're feeling with someone takes a lot of the power out of it. So it's a helpful way. And receiving someone's compassion can open us to our own compassion. So I want to invite you to just take a moment, maybe even close your eyes and just notice how you feel taking an hour for yourself to do some of these practices. What do you notice? Do you feel? And that way you can notice how this might make a difference in your life if you show up for it each day. And come back whenever you're ready. I know we were close to time, but are there any reflections or shares or questions I can answer? Oh, thank you so much. Oh, thank you guys. Y'all are so sweet. Mm, yeah, Brianna, that it's much more impactful in the middle of the day. That's a great insight because then that means you can find a way to add it into your like lunch break or something, right? Like, yeah, find what actually works for you and what you notice works for yourself. It's not going to be the same as me or anyone else. Any other questions, reflections? Forced me to slow down. Yeah, silence and slowing down is so not our natural inclination, especially in for those of us that are in the US. Um, and so it's such a beautiful thing when we get to do it, not for ourselves that. Um, and then the last thing I did want to just share as we wrap up is I have a bunch of free meditations on Insight Timer. It's a free meditation app. And so I wanted to give you guys that. Oh, I need to find how I can get the link here. Oh, good. I love Insight Timer. It also has a timer function. So if you wanted to meditate just in silence, that's there too for free. So I just dropped a link in the chat too. It's a 14-minute self-compassion and self-love meditation. So sometimes it's helpful to have us guide someone. So I want to give you that. And then finally, for anyone that's wanting extra support and cultivating self-compassion, Nicole mentioned I run some 21-day meditation and journaling programs. And I have one for stress relief, letting go of difficult emotions, and one for cultivating self-love and some self-compassion. So if you are interested, I will just drop that in the chat quickly, and you can go check out testimonials and more about that there. But I'm offering Dreamers and Doers exclusively a 25% off of all those programs. So you just put Dreamers, Doers in the little checkout thing, and you'll get for 21 days daily guided meditations, a journal prompts, meditation, or positive affirmations. And then you also get a 60-minute coaching call with me to go deeper into anything that you're looking for support with in your life. Thank you so much. Such an honor to be here and get to share this. Truly is my favorite thing in the world. So if I can ever answer any questions or share resources or anything, I am so available for that. Please feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much, Lara. This was so wonderful. Oh my gosh, and I hope you're seeing all of the amazing shout outs that you're getting in the chat. But this was so wonderful. And so I just want to say thank you on behalf of everybody. And also thank you all for joining today. What a beautiful and timely time to have this event heading into this week. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much. We just appreciate you immensely. I'm wishing you all the best holiday if you're celebrating this week, or a little bit of time off if you're not. And I'll see you all very soon. Thank you, Lara. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you, guys.
Bye, everyone.